Our next speaker comes to us from the heart of Kingston, Jamaica. Born and raised in Almontown, Jamaica, he is no stranger to the notion that to be poor is a crime. However, refusing to accept and make this his reality, he was determined to prove that it is not where you are that will determine where you will go. While on his journey towards success, this young man encountered many personal challenges, especially as it relates to his health. A product of the life insurance industry for the last 14 years, he became a member of the prestigious $1 Million Roundtable, a feat that only the top 5% of advisors worldwide have attained. He also received several awards from his company and industry for outstanding production achievements. In addition to his career achievements, he served as director of the Natural Healing Foundation and as the director to the Coalition of Adolescence and Leadership Training, CSALT, a not-for-profit organization geared towards uplifting young boys throughout the island's high schools. In 2008, he was appointed board chairman of CSALT organization and served for 2 years in that position. He was a columnist for the North Coast Times newspaper, guest writer for the Sunday Observer, the Insurance Association of Jamaica magazine IHA, Guardian Life's biannual magazine, the local association Jaifa newsletter, and online magazines such as Under 30 COs and Night Vision Contact. He has been featured on Profile with Ian Boyne and in the Caribbean Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors Carifa's 30th Anniversary magazine, which was published in May 2009. For his efforts in 2012, he was one of 4 persons to be nominated to receive the Governor General's Award for Excellence for the Parish of St. Anne. This young man holds the following designations: Project Management Professional, PMP, Financial Services Specialist, FSS, and Life and Riders Training Council Fellow, LUTCF. Presently, he is enrolled in the Master Financial Advisor Designation MFA program offered by the Life Insurance Marketing and Research Association, LIMRA, and in the Masters of Business Administration MBA program with Harriet Watt University. He is the founder of the Training and Empowerment of People Temple Limited, a training and advisory firm specializing in the training and coaching of entrepreneurs. With their flagship program being the 8 Best Practices of High-Performing Sales program and the Entrepreneurial Challenge program by the Covenant Group out of Toronto, Canada. He is the author of the book, The Turning Point: How the 8 Best Practices Changed My Life, which is available on Amazon.com, and a guest writer to the Investor's Choice magazine. His philosophy in life is, change begins with me, and his vision comes from the Bible. Greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world, for he that is in me can do all things, enabling me to do likewise. Ladies and gentlemen, please help me welcome a man who knows that if you believe in your fellow men, then one day they will rise to meet your expectations. Denver Brown, ladies and gentlemen, as he shares with us his secret for overcoming challenges.
There's neither happiness nor misery in this world. There's only the comparison of one state to another, nothing more. He who has felt the deepest grief is best able to experience supreme happiness. We must have felt what it is like to die, that we may appreciate the enjoyments of life. So said Alexander Dumas. Ladies and gentlemen, I know what it is like to die. 3 times in my life has death confronted me, but it is the 3rd experience in which I'll seek to share with you today. My extraterrestrial experience, my moment of truth. The moment when all unanswered questions of what really happens after death were finally answered for me. I do not expect you to understand my experience, but like John the Revelator, I saw myself surrounded by utter darkness, standing on a black sea. I felt myself drifting towards a bright light somewhere in the distance. But as I drifted, I noticed something strange. I noticed that I was not fearful or worried of what was happening or what was to come. It was like my fears and burdens were now finally laid to rest. I felt as if I was drifting to my place of utopia, my eternal home. Then suddenly I heard a voice. This voice was different from all the voices that I've heard before. The voice spoke with such command and such clarity, a voice that causes even the mountains to tremble. Denver! Immediately I awoke to find myself lying in a pool of blood, stuck amongst the wreckage of my car. There I was, in the middle of the road, in a motor vehicle accident, with no sign of life in sight. I remember saying to myself, this must be a nightmare. This cannot be true. Denver born in an accident? Not possible. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I took special precaution in everything I did. I believe that nothing in life should take me by surprise. Staying true to my Scout's motto, I must at all times be prepared. So I closed my eyes, hoping that everything would just disappear when I reopened them. But the images were the same. The front of my car was smashed in, causing the steering wheel to demolish my rib cage. All the car seats, excluding the one I sat in, were thrown all over the place. Then soon the reality hit me. I was in an accident. Like clockwork, the minute I regained my consciousness was the minute all the pains I could ever imagine came down upon me. I could not feel my legs. Blood oozed from my mouth like a spring in a garden. My hands were barely able to move, and my teeth went missing. My friends, again I say to you, he who has felt the deepest grief is best able to experience supreme happiness. I do not wish for the pains that I felt to be experienced by anyone, not even my greatest enemies. Upon reaching the hospital and now placed under the care of the medical practitioners, I was given 1 year to fully recuperate. I had 3 broken ribs, 7 missing teeth, water running from my right ear as a result of a dislocated jaw, which brought about improper balancing. I had post-traumatic syndromes. My bottom lip was like mashed potatoes, and my upper palate of my mouth hung down to form another tongue. For days and weeks I laid motionless. Like my car, I was also written off. There was no way one would be able to come back from such an ordeal. It was just not possible, or so they thought. Persons at the scene of the accident thought I was dead. Well, for me, greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. For he that is in me can do all things, enabling me to do likewise. With this in mind, I returned to work. After 3 months, still not fully healed, still without a car, and still having post-traumatic syndromes, I came back. I had no choice. I had to come back. If I had given up then the devil would have won. He would have confirmed with everyone who just kept saying that I was not good enough to make it, and that I was not prepared to do. My life has just been filled with challenges. It was only a few months prior to my accident they came knocking. I work in the pharmaceutical industry, an industry I love dearly, but with my asthma, severe sinusitis and bronchitis, I had to leave. I had to leave the industry under the advice of my doctor, who kept telling me, "Young man, you're going to die." The day I made the decision to leave was the day I felt as if I was really going to die. I just could not breathe. So that previous ordeal had drained me financially. So when the accident came, I was just left for dead. There was no way for me to wait out 1 year, even if I wanted to. It was just not possible. Despite all the encouragement to stay out a little longer, I came back, ready to work. However, still without a car, still in pain and with no money, but determined to succeed, I came back. Upon my arrival, I was greeted with every agent's biggest nightmare, very low persistency or conservation. For those of you who may not know what is persistency, well, in the simplest of formats, it's the rate at which you are able to keep your clients continuously paying their premiums. So I was already defeated because I knew in order to earn any commissions, bonus, or to qualify for any incentives, I needed to have a persistency of 87.5% and above, but mine was 65%. So the task was daunting, the challenge was great. But they that put their trust in the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings of an eagle. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. Oh God, Teach me, Lord, how to wait. Ladies and gentlemen, for 4 months I worked without pay, reinstating what could have been reinstated. I was focused. I was determined not to give up, to fulfill my dream as a great entrepreneur. I never pride myself as Og Mandino, the greatest salesman ever, but merely as a successful entrepreneur, a great advisor. You see, I found passion in being a successful entrepreneur rather than a successful salesman. I learned early that success is 10 times more guaranteed when you pursue your passion. What is your passion today? Find it, nourish it, then pursue it. With my passion, I found ways to overcome my challenges. With no car, I began doing joint field work with agents, agreeing to share the commissions where necessary. All I needed to be was to be in front of a prospect. So anything to get me there was good enough for me. For the pains, I took medication and periodic break from work to rest. This was also necessary as I was still having flashes of the accident replaying in my mind, just leaving me with constant nervous breakdowns and shakings. I must admit, the year of the accident was one of the most challenging years of my life. However, I kept focus. For the entire year, I deliberately did not have a television at home. I remember as a child growing up, my father always telling me that those people on TV are already stars. So if you want to make it, then all you need to do is to limit the amount of time you spend watching them. And that I did. So every night for that year, I spent planning or practicing my presentation. I believe that if others before me made it, then so could I. I believe that all the training materials provided by the company were years of studies put together for us to succeed. So if I wanted to make it, then all I needed to do was to master at least one of these programs. And that I did. I studied and mastered the 8 best practices of high performance salespeople program by Norm Trainer of the Covenant Group. I implemented every single strategy one by one, and then after a couple of months, I was now on top of my game. I qualified for my first persistency bonus 1 year after my return. The feeling was euphoric, especially when I remembered it was just a few days before I walked the streets of New Kingston at 11 p.m., having completed my last appointment, crying as I walked to the bus stop, needing to find myself back to Ocho Rios. I cried more with each and every step, but saying to myself, this is the last time I'll be doing this. This is the last time I'll be doing this. Thank you, God, for honoring your word. It was the last time I did that. I remember needing 20 applications in 2 weeks, something I've never done before. However, I was not going to allow my pains or my inadequacies to stop me. I was going to get them no matter what, and that I did. I eventually wrote and settled 22 applications in 2 weeks, thus qualifying for my first persistency bonus. But the greatest sense of accomplishment came when I first made the $1 million round table. Wow. This was 2 years after the accident, and I was now being seen as a star. I knew that despite all that was happening around me, success would come. I learned early that there are 3 important characteristics of success: discipline, patience, and faith. So if I continue using the 8 best practices of high performance salespeople program and be patient, then with God's help, success would come. My hope for you today is that whatever you came here for, you will get it. In the words of the late Jim Rohn, never miss anything. Make sure you get it. Why I say this? I remember my first blast off function. I'll never forget the theme, branch out. I took it literally. I took up my belongings and branched out. I left home and moved into a fully furnished house. With no money and only faith, I borrowed a deposit and the first month's rent from one of my unit managers. I needed to stay focused. Whether you believe it or not, the people you surround yourself with can influence you in either one or 2 ways, negatively or positively. So having persons around me constantly telling me that with my challenges I should leave the industry was not what I needed to hear. Wisdom is the art of knowing what to overlook. I was not upset with anyone who tried to dissuade me. Too often we allow petty things to steal too much of our time, and we finish up living for the wrong reasons. If we desire success, then we must find a way to serve the many. Because if we help enough people get what they want, then we will have what we need. As we look forward to the future, Let us commit to securing Jamaica today, tomorrow, and forever. If Jamaica must change, then we must change it. So make a change today. Change someone's life. Start believing in someone. Start believing in yourselves. Believe in your fellow men that they may one day rise to meet your expectations. As I leave you, let me encourage you to embrace the future, forget the past. Dare to dream, fulfill your destiny. You're here for a purpose. You're here for a reason. No matter where life may take you, it begins with where you are now. Start where you are. Claim God's promise and trust in His words. Don't you know that God never put you in the wrong place to serve Him? Ladies and gentlemen, from me to you, I'll always live for you. Thank you.